Hello everyone, welcome to the workshop. Today I want to make a short video about my experience of buying and owning the MASH X-Ride Classic 650 single. At the beginning of 2022, with two bikes in the garage already, I thought it'd be nice to have a scrambler style bike, and so I started looking around for something that was in my budget and that I wanted to enjoy having in the garage. So I looked at the Ducati Desert Sled, nice bike, quite expensive. I looked at the Fantic Caballero 500. I'd seen that at the bike show previously and I really liked it. And I also started looking at the MASH. So I visited the dealers of each of them, and the dealer experience obviously is a significant part of any purchase. I left the Fantic dealer and the Ducati dealer feeling that I was never going to buy a bike from them. The MASH dealer was, by contrast, completely different. Super friendly, extremely helpful, more than accommodating, and I decided I was going to buy the MASH from them. So my next issue was which colour. They only come in black or white, or they certainly did when I was looking. And so I decided on the black. And I decided that as this was a relatively inexpensive bike, I wasn't going to start making significant changes to it, as I have with other bikes, because I didn't want to invest a lot of money until I was sure that it was going to be okay. Shortly after buying it, the check engine light came on. Within 100 kilometres, and it went back to the dealer, and there was a sensor behind the engine that was causing this issue, which they fixed, but literally within yards of leaving the shop the check engine light was back on again, so it went back to the shop. Anyway, they got a new sensor and it fixed the problem. A few hundred miles later, went in for its first service at 600 miles, and shortly after that the bike started running roughly. I couldn't quite determine exactly what the problem was, but it was clearly not running well. So it went back to the dealer, and they said yes, there's a problem, and we don't really know what the problem is at the moment. So they had the bike for just over a week, I think. Anyway, they replaced another sensor, and they also replaced the injector, and I got the bike back. And since then the bike has run extremely well, absolutely fine, starts well, runs extremely well, it goes very nicely. So far I've done 2,300 miles on the bike, and I would say the last 1,500 have been completely trouble free. So when I knew that the bike was going to be relatively good, or when I felt comfortable that the bike was fixed and it was going to run well, I thought maybe I should do some upgrades. So the first upgrade was the colour. I was never sure about the black or the white, and so it's now, as you can see, Porsche Racing Yellow. Which is completely different to anything that was available. The stickers on the tank came from France. The tank's been resprayed and the stickers have been lacquered over. The next thing to change was the tyres. The bike with 17-inch wheels is more supermoto than it is scrambler. So Bridgestone S22s got fitted. Absolutely superb tyres, loads of grip, really like them. The next change I thought I'd make was to chrome the exhaust. I just think a chrome exhaust is going to look better on this bike, so I took the exhaust off, took it to a local chromers, left it with them and went on holiday. When I got back from holiday I went to collect it, and it turned out they hadn't been able to chrome it because the exhaust is made of stainless steel predominantly. There are bits that are mild steel, but for the vast majority it's stainless steel. And I didn't know this, but you cannot chrome stainless steel. So they polished it up to a very high level, and I got the exhaust back, put it back on the bike, and it looks absolutely great. The only change I've made to the exhaust since having it polished is I've actually repainted the last sort of 30 centimetres of the headers back to the cylinder head, because they became so discoloured with the heat that they look better with a matte black finish. So I got some extreme high temperature paint, painted them, baked it in the oven. Fortunately I have an oven that the exhaust fitted into, and put them back, and they look much better. The other upgrade that was in desperate need of doing was the suspension. So I decided I was going to invest in a rear shock. The rear shock that the bike came with made riding the bike a bit like bouncing along on a stone wall. I've no idea what it was made of or what settings it were. It was on the absolute softest preload. I weigh about 83 kilos, I'm just over 6 foot, and I found it just unbelievably hard to ride with. Brook Suspension supplied a YSS shock, which is designed for a Honda Dominator. The bikes are not dissimilar in their weights, and critically the length of the shock was exactly spot on. A couple of fitting issues, but nothing major, and the YSS shock has made a massive difference to the bike. Other changes are the levers. I've put span adjustable levers both sides. The brake had a span adjustable lever, the clutch did not. And the clutch, I don't have abnormally small hands, I'm sure they're entirely proportionate to my size, but I felt I had to leap forward to grab the clutch lever before I could even start pulling it back in. So that's now been changed. The changes also include brackets, so I've got a new master cylinder on the brake, and I also took the opportunity to oil the cable on the clutch when I had everything dismantled. That's all been put back, and they work really well. Very happy with that. I also changed the handlebars. I didn't really like the handlebars, and for 22 quid I got a new set of chrome handlebars. I changed the handlebar clamps as well, and the whole front end is just much tidier than it came out the factory. While I was doing all the brakes and handlebars, etc., I also changed the pads in the front caliper. The brakes were very grabby, and when I dismantled the caliper I discovered that only 3 of the pistons were actually moving. One of them, for whatever reason, wasn't moving. I stripped everything apart, cleaned it, greased it, put it back together, and now everything works really well. The brakes are far more progressive. It works very well now. Changing the rear shock, of course, showed up the inadequacies of the forks, as is often the case. You fix one end and you realise how bad the other is. So future changes are to respring and possibly put some heavier oil in the front forks. I'm taking the forks off in the next week or so, going down to see a friend of mine who's a suspension specialist. Try saying that quickly. And we're going to respring them, see what we've got, and get them working in unison with the rear shock. Also, another upgrade is to change the front mudguard and to put this little beauty on. So at the moment the stock front mudguard works extremely well at throwing shit all over the engine and all over you, and in any other respect it's hopeless. If you want to get covered in crap, keep the stock mudguard. I don't, so therefore I need to fabricate some brackets to go on the fork legs and a bridge between the two, and then attach the new front mudguard and get rid of the plastic one. So that's the changes I've made to the bike. I made the changes because I really like the bike. I didn't want to have the problems that I had with it, with the running and the starting and what have you. I've been extremely lucky in that I'm blessed with a dealer who is absolutely superb. They could not be more helpful. I wanted it to be reliable, and I certainly wasn't going to start spending any money on it unless I was sure it was going to be reliable. I think it will be reliable. It's certainly pretty well made. I think the issues there are with the bike, or I've certainly discovered by working on the bike, is that the components are actually quite good. They're just not necessarily assembled as well as they could have been. A perfect example of that is the brake caliper. I'm sure that, I mean, there is nothing wrong with the brake caliper or the pistons. I just don't think they were adequately lubricated before it was all put together. So I've made changes. I'm very happy with the changes. There's more changes to be made. Overall impression, I really like the bike. Out of the 3 bikes in the garage, this is the one I enjoy riding the most. Would I buy another one? Absolutely. I would definitely, and I would absolutely buy one from the dealer who I deal with. They are absolutely superb. And so that's it really. I really like the bike. The teething problems I had, there are lots of bikes that you pay 2 or 3 times the cost of this and you still have teething problems. So I don't think it's in any way linked necessarily to the price of the bike. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it's useful for anyone thinking of buying one, or if you've got one, maybe it's given you some ideas for some changes that you might want to make to yours. And I'll be making another video when I do some more changes on the bike, and I'm got some more miles on the clock. We'll see how the weather plays with that one. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, then comment below or give me a thumbs up or whatever. And see you again on the next one. Thanks.